It's safe to say that Rio the Young OG has purposely tried to push the boundaries of rap. When he first started making music, he wanted to have no filter and say things that other rappers wouldn't say. Now with songs like Legendary, Paranoid, and Movie blowing up, it would just be downright wrong to say that outlandish, no filter lyrics didn't help him achieve the success and status that he has gained today. But that's not to take away from his work ethic. He's actually one of the hardest working rappers I've ever seen before. He drops multiple projects every year and reportedly did over 500 features for different artists in only 1 year. Now let that sink in real quick. If you're doing 500 features and there's only 365 days in the year, that means you averaging at least 2 features every single day for the whole year. Like, that's crazy. Like, I've never seen people do that before. And you're still dropping projects on top of that. That's many. That's many, bro. But with that being said, let's take it back to when he was first trying to make a name for himself in the industry. At first, rapping was just a hobby for Rio. Something that he would do with his friends in his spare time. Well, that's how it was until his music caught the attention of Peasy, one of his favorite Detroit rappers. Rio's close friend KD had already known Peasy for some time now, and he was playing some of his own music for him. Peasy paused the record and said, "Who is that rapping after you?" KD had to let him know that it was his bro Rio. And then Peasy let him know that he had to link up with him ASAP. Now, Peasy was a huge influence to Rio, so wanting him to link up with him and make music with him was a huge deal. After meeting, they quickly became frequent collaborators and constantly made music together. The relationship even grew to be deeper than music. Peasy would ride around with Rio and show him how he makes money as an established artist. He would go pick up performance deposits, do paid features for other artists, and even show Rio a $20,000 check that he got from streaming services. Now, shortly after developing a relationship with Peasy, Rio had ended up catching a couple charges and had to sit in jail for 2 weeks until he was able to put up the money for bail. Then after getting out, he had no money and was pressed for cash, so his cousin recommended that he should put his music on Spotify and Apple Music. Rio didn't think too much of it at the time, but to his surprise, he ended up with $1,600 in his account after 30 days of him posting music. Now, this really shocked Rio because he was actually working a full-time job at this point, and he was only making around $300 to $400 a week. But now with him fully realizing that he could be making money off of music, he decided to drop more music and try to keep the money coming in. Then after that, the next month, the check was $4,800, and every month his checks would get bigger and bigger, so he committed to taking music much more seriously. In 2020, he started to blow up with his project City on My Back and started gaining views rapidly on his music. But it would only be met with unfortunate news. Now, although things were looking bright for Rio, he was still fighting his previous case, and he had decided to take a plea deal for 5 years. Now, although he was going to be incarcerated for 5 years, he was still very optimistic about getting out early on good behavior. He dropped his song Last Day Out in March of 2021 and decided to turn himself in shortly after. Now, crazy enough, he dropped a project while he was in prison called Fiends Lives Matter, and it quickly shot up to chart on the top 10 for Apple Music. Now, this is something that is uncommon in general, but the fact that he did it with no features on the tape just adds another layer of impressiveness on top of it. So now that we have a little bit of backstory on Rio, let's try to make a beat like one of his biggest songs, Legendary. Also, shout out Energy Beats for producing Legendary. The song go hard. Yo, real quick, I actually want to let you know about my Patreon. So, for my Patreon, I actually send out 7 loops every single week, and it comes with all the MIDI. You can get it right now for the low price of $10 a month. I need 2 hands. $10 a month. And just to sweeten the deal, I'm actually going to be leaving the FLP for this project that we're using in the video in the Patreon. Now, I highly encourage that y'all try to sign up, because if you're trying to learn how to make better loops, it's a great opportunity for you. Or if you just like using loops a lot, I have a whole bunch that you can use, because you also get the back catalog of all the loops I've been making for the past year. First link in the description, by the way, man. Peace. Alright, so first let's talk about the melody. Now, a lot of Detroit melodies use a lot of arpeggiated chords. So what that means is basically you'll just take a little chord like this right here, boom, 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 and then you break it out. So the breaking out part is what is arpeggiating it. So what I like to do for these melodies is just get a piano and then just start kind of like plugging in notes until it sounds good. I believe this one right here, the one that we use for the video, is the exact same melody that Energy used for Legendary, so shout out to him. So once I'm done laying down a melody, what I like to do is I like to take that piano preset and then just change it for something that's a little bit more interesting. I've noticed that a lot of Detroit beats will use things like synthesizers, strings, and brass ensembles. So just try to look for something that just sounds very large, you feel me? So this is gonna be the full melody for the beat. And then this right here is the preset that I use for that melody. Now with that melody by itself, it sounds okay, so I decided to layer it with another sound in Analog Lab. Then this is the preset that I use for that one as well. So I've also noticed in a lot of Detroit beats, they use claps, they use rims, and they use snares as well. So I decided to go for a snare because it was the same one that I was using Legendary. Then for the hi-hats, for an easy route to go down, you can just hit a two-step and mess with the velocity, and it'll work out just fine. Then after that, I felt like we had a cool bounce, so I started adding an open hat just to add a little bit of extra bounce and give it a little bit more flavor. So since we're basically trying to recreate the Legendary beat, I took a triangle and I put it constantly throughout the track. And then I was like, why not? Let's add another open hat. Now for the 808s, I have seen Detroit beats make them simple just like this right here. But I've also seen Detroit producers use more busy patterns like this right here. So when it comes to the 808s, you can really do simple or complex, but just make sure that they hit. So this is the pattern that I decided to use myself. And then just to throw a little bit of flavor on the end, I ended up doing an 808 roll and I faded in the velocities. And then speaking of adding flavor, I ended up doing a switch up as well where I did like the very constant, I don't even know what to call it, 8 on the floor, 4 on the floor kind of thing. But just, it's, y'all have heard it before. It's this right here, it's this. Now you see what I mean? Like, I don't know what to call it either, but y'all know what it is where just like the 808 just goes like mad crazy the whole time. Now, tubular bells are very essential to Detroit beats, so I ended up putting in this melody right here. And then just to beef up the beat a little bit more, I put in a low piano note for the root note of the beat, and this is what it sounds like. Then just a little bit of ear candy, I threw in this crash right here. And then I also threw in this clav right here as well. And boom, with that being said, that is how you make a beat for Rio the Young OG. If you enjoyed this video, hit a like. If you want to comment, throw a comment. If you want to sub, hit the sub. My name is Devin. I also go by Infinite or Pop by Infinite. Ooh, did I just get out of focus? All right, peace out.